Hello again, everyone. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I'm going to take a look at drill in and take a look at the NASDAQ Composite today and the Russell 2000 ETF IWM. We'll then look to see how is the Dow Industrials comparing to a couple of other indices like the Dow Transports, the New York Composite Index. Check in on a couple of my key indicators, and then three stocks today, three vaccine stocks, BioNTX, Moderna, and Novavax. All right, let's start off here with the weekly views of the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. The Dow was down 182 points for this last week. A down week, a potential reversal candle in here. The same thing in terms of the look of the candle on the S&P 500. It was down 42 points for the week. And the NASDAQ was a lot weaker in terms of its results, down 274 points. Now, all of these are still riding above the 10-week moving average. We don't have a severe breakdown, at least as of yet. We'll see where we go with that. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ Composite. Okay, let's click over here. And here's the weekly and daily view Elliott Wave count I've got on the NASDAQ Composite. I am leaning into the fact that I believe there's a high probability that the fifth wave in here, the fifth wave up from the March 2020 low has finished, and that finishes a multitude of other five-wave structures on the NASDAQ Composite. And that high is right here on the high on Tuesday, on July 13th. I believe that was Tuesday, if I look back. That's what it looks like to me. Pretty interesting move. This last this last move up from what was the low here on May 12th. Strong, tight little channel in here, and I believe we have an extended fifth wave as a part of the five-wave count. And then I think it finished, and we're breaking down out of that channel. This view, this sell-off gets reinforced if we break below this high. This high is 14,211.57, so let's just say 14,211. We break below that level, and I think this is going to accelerate and reaffirm this picture. Okay, that is the NASDAQ Composite. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000 ETF. You know, the Russell 2000 was down on the ETF. It was down 1.3% on Friday, continuing this pretty steady sell-off that it's been underway. 5% for the week. What you're looking at is what I call my moving average view in here. This is the weekly view over here, and here's the daily view. Let's take a look at the Elliott Wave picture that I've got. The high that occurred on the Russell 2000 IWM was back in March. The week of March 14th, it was actually March 15th, right here, this high right here on March 15th. And ever since then, we've been in a very complex sideways type of move, but I think we're breaking down out of that. And I think we're in this third minute wave down. And it looks to me like we are in a third of a third of a third. And if that is the case, we are going to start to accelerate. And what do I mean by that? Well, third minute wave down, and I believe we're in the third minuet level down. Then you just keep going 1 degree lower. And within that wave structure, I believe we are in the third wave down here. And it's acting like it. You know, it's sure acting like it. And we'll see if we continue to get the continuation out of this move. All right, so that is the Russell 2000. That's the way that picture looks. I want to go back and do that little comparison and talk about the title that the title of this video, which is, no, I don't want that. This is the one I'm looking at right here. This is the bearish scenario that I am still holding. Why am I still holding? Because we came so close to taking out that May 10th high, but we just couldn't do it. The Dow could not do it. So legitimately, we still have a bearish count that is totally valid on the Dow Industrials. A sideways complex wave too. Look how close we came. The high on May 10th, 35,091.56. We literally got within 1.5 points on Friday. When did that happen? It happened in the first 30 minutes of the day, and then what happened? the consumer confidence reading came out. Everybody was expecting 85 and reading of 85 or higher, and it came in at 80. And everybody was disappointed. The market just collapsed after that. And on Friday, that's all it did was sell off the whole rest of the day. So this picture is still holding. We came really, really close to invalidating any kind of short-term bearish picture. But right now, it's still on. And so I'm looking to see, does it take out 34,145? And that'll start to reinforce this picture to the downside. And what else are we seeing in here in terms of some of the other indices? Let me go back to the moving average view and just show you for comparison purposes. If this high is still holding, what is the transports doing? Its high on the same day is still holding, but even more severe in terms of the sell-off. The New York Composite Index, it is basically flatlined since a high on June 10th. And if this breaks this trend line here, I think the selling is really going to accelerate. So, you know, we've got some other indices that are also saying, hey, there's a bunch of weakness going on here in the market. Let's take a look at a couple of our indicators. And the VIX picture burst up on Friday. You know, it'd been kind of stalling out during the week after the move last week, and then we just stalled out. And then now all of a sudden come back and we close above the trading of the previous 5 days. And it looks like it wants to make a run. If it breaks this little trend line, which looks like a small little head and shoulders pattern to me, potential little pattern like this, if it does that and it breaks this bigger trend line, we're going to see a huge explosion. But right now, we'll have to watch and see what kind of follow through we get. The red line I always keep at the 20 level. When it gets above 20, everybody gets super excited and says, wow, the VIX is really, really elevated in terms of the volatility. Let's take a look at the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average. Well, they continue to hold down below the 50 level on the S&P 500. And, you know, we talked about this before where, you know, the S&P has been punching to new all-time highs, and this is, you know, closing down here below 50. Not a good sign. But the other thing I noticed is look what's happening on the New York. And this is the New York Stock Exchange. And it had been chopping around and staying above the 50 level. Then all of a sudden, a week ago Thursday, we got a pretty big break down below the 50 level, but then it came back and closed above it. It was almost like it broke the dam. And then this week it came down, and Thursday, Friday closed down below, and we're sitting at about 44% of the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. And look at the trend. What has the S&P 500 been doing since mid-June? It's been trending up. What has this been doing? Showing a pretty good sign of weakness here in terms of the percent of stocks that are above their 50-day moving average. All right, that's it for indicators. Let's take a look at the 3 stocks I mentioned. Okay, the first one I'm going to pull up is BioNTX, and let me go to the, hopefully I got this right picture here, and I'm just going to focus on the weekly view for now. Let me show this. Short term, what I'm looking at is I still think there could be more weakness to the downside. I think we're in a 4th wave. We've been chopping, it's oscillating sideways a little bit. I'm just not convinced that that is a solid move to the upside because I just don't feel like we've corrected enough here in terms of the 4th wave. So we'll see what happens, but that's the way I'm counting it here on BioNTX. This is the move. Yeah, it's had a heck of a move, of course. Let's take a look at Moderna. Now, Moderna, I think, is in a little bit stronger picture. And I think that we've got more to go to complete the 5-wave move in here and finish off the 5th intermediate wave. At least this would be the first. And whether you count this as an intermediate wave or primary wave, it's just semantics to me. We'll see at this point. We'll see where we go. But right now, this has been in a very, very strong picture. And let's take a look for the final one, Novavax. This is another one that I'm not quite sure that it's done correcting in here, but it's in a different stage. I think we're in we've completed a primary wave 1, and I've got it labeled as 2, and I think we're still working our way down in an ABC. And, you know, I would like to see it come down right around 77. The alternate count would say, no, this completed here, but it just seems a little short to me. If it were to complete here, and that this was wave 1, and the wave 2 would be a little pullback, and then we thrust up. So right now, I'm staying with this picture. We'll see what we get, but then longer term, these are just placeholders. These are not predictions. I'm not saying just like any of these when you see it out into the future like this. Unless I specifically address and project a certain time frame within a certain time, these are just placeholders out to the future. This is what I'm focused on right here. Just like I talked about with BNTX or any of the others in here, what I'm focused on is the short term. Once we get the wave complete, then we'll focus on where we go from there. But right now we're looking at this picture. Okay, that's it for this video. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this kind of information on a regular basis, head over to joehenches.net. Check out the website and the membership. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.